Harry Kane is a relentless player who has achieved countless impressive milestones. The trajectory of this incredible player, from his first steps at Tottenham to his most decisive performances in the English League, is a little controversial for the football community. Are Kane's talent and impressive numbers enough to secure his place among the greats, even without major titles? And in the case of Kane, it's not even a question of not having major titles, but of not having titles at all. He lifted a total of 0 trophies in his career. Despite this, many people in recent years have considered Kane as one of the great center forwards of modern football, one of the most technical and versatile. Can he now enter the Football Hall of Fame, or does he still need to lift trophies to be recognized as one of the best of all time? Let's analyze. Football, as well as its teams and players, greatly divides public opinion, especially when we talk about cases in which great players had a brilliant career, but who, for some reason, were unable to win a certain title that, in theory, would crown their success. Successful trajectory. The clearest example of this is Messi in the last World Cup. Not that the Argentine wasn't already a giant in the history of football, but, without a doubt, if he ended up without a World Cup, many would diminish his achievements. Players like Ronaldo and Ibrahimovic, who never won a Champions League, or even Neymar, who never won a World Cup, exemplify this well. But perhaps the biggest and best example of all is Harry Kane, a player who displays absurd numbers and enviable individual achievements, but who seems to lose a little credibility because the athlete does not have any notable titles on his resume, neither for the English national team nor for the clubs he defended. As time went by, Kane gained the stigma of being a title breaker. But are titles really that important? Can this alone make a player an idol or star? Let's understand this in this analysis. Everyone is up to date on the fiasco that was Bayern Munich's season. Okay, looking at the final result, it doesn't seem like it was that bad. They ended up 3rd in the Bundesliga. But, in reality, while competing for the title with Bayer Leverkusen, they stayed in 2nd place for a long time and only fell to 3rd, kind of abandoning the championship in the final stretch. A 3rd-place finish is not a complete disaster. They reached a Champions League semi-final. So, just taking these numbers, it doesn't seem like something disastrous. But we must pay attention to expectations at the start of the season. If we keep this in mind, we can say that it was, to say the least, an unexpected result. After all, the team had been champions the previous season with Dortmund, handing the cup into Tuchel's hands in the last round. But, for this season, the club counted on Tuchel's work from the beginning, as well as strong reinforcements such as Kim Min-jae for the defense and the main name of the window, Harry Kane. Kane was perhaps the best signing of the European window, not only because he was the strong man, but because the team needed a center forward. With Lewandowski's departure, Bayern suffered a lot, and one of the best in the world arrived to replace and strengthen the club. With that, most people expected them to maintain their hegemony of national titles, or that, at least, the team's football would evolve. But that's not what happened. Disappointment is the word that best defines the Bavarian club's 2023/2024 season. Before talking about his current moment at the German club, which individually is very good, let's go back a little to the time at Tottenham. Let's follow Kane's achievements and analyze the importance that the player has, even without a title. It's difficult these days to see someone wearing a club shirt for 10 years, especially if he's such a good player and is at a club that doesn't achieve anything. This was Kane's time at Spurs, so there is no doubt that this is etched in his career and in the fans' memories. Kane has scored an incredible 280 goals in 435 games for Tottenham. The impressive numbers, in addition to making him the greatest scorer in the club's history, are also divided into several fantastic seasons in the Premier League, making him the 2nd highest scorer in the most important national football league in the world, with 209 goals. He is second only to Alan Shearer, who has 260. The 2017/2018 season is perhaps the most notable, in which the Englishman scored 41 goals in 48 games, 30 of those goals in the Premier League alone in 37 matches, behind Salah. Speaking of the Premier League, there were many occasions in which Kane ended the season as the competition's top scorer. It was his individual merits that made him one of Tottenham's greatest, if not the greatest, highlight. It is worth noting that Kane was trained at Tottenham, but at the beginning he spent many loans to gain experience, playing for teams like Millwall, Norwich and Leicester, without great performances or relevant numbers in these teams. Going deeper into his numbers in the Premier League, which is considered the most difficult on the planet in terms of national points competitions, Kane's numbers are simply absurd. Although no title came and sometimes Tottenham ended up almost, as in the 2015/2016 edition, when Leicester surprisingly became champions and Spurs took third place, competing for first place at different times. In this case, Kane scored 25 goals in the 38 matches he played, taking the top scorer in this edition. This was the first year in which he achieved this feat, which was repeated in the 2016/2017 seasons with 29 goals and 2020/2021 with 23 goals, not to mention the assists accumulated throughout the time he played in the championship. An impressive fact that needs to be commented on is that in the 2020/2021 season, in addition to finishing as top scorer, Kane also finished as the highest assister in the Premier League. He was only the third player to achieve this feat in history. The other two were Andy Cole for Newcastle and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank for Leeds in the 1993/1994 and 1997/1998 seasons respectively. Kane's achievement could be even greater, considering that the Premier League today is much more competitive. Even with these achievements, Tottenham finished the championship in 7th place. With a better team and Kane playing at that level, Tottenham could have challenged for the title. You can't put the blame on one player, as if it were his obligation to carry a team alone to victory. He did what he could, and maybe even more, because it wasn't his fault that Mourinho couldn't organize a minimally decent team to compete at a high level. Let's talk a little about your recent stay in Germany. With great expectations surrounding the English player, the Germans expected complete dominance in national championships such as the Bundesliga and the German Cup, as well as a certain favoritism in the UEFA Champions League, which Bayern always has. In fact, the Champions League campaign wasn't the worst, reaching the semi-finals and falling to Real Madrid. There was an expectation of surpassing the marks of the legend Gerd Müller and Robert Lewandowski. Kane arrived at the Bavarian club with the responsibility of taking Lewandowski's place and organizing the attack after Sadio Mané's turbulent departure. Despite once again not winning any titles in the 2023/2024 season, Kane's numbers as a debutant were sensational, surpassing 40 goals in the season and reaching a record of 42 goals in 43 matches, which is almost a goal per game. Kane remains the Bundesliga's top scorer with 36 goals, but he certainly won't break the mark set by the other two Bavarian idols this season, who scored 40 and 41 goals. However, if he had these numbers in his first season, it is only a matter of time before these records are broken and titles are won, especially after the team is renewed for the following season. Defending his national team, Kane scored 62 goals in 89 games, with interesting campaigns that culminated in failures. This is the case of the World Cup in Qatar in 2022, where they fell to the French in the quarterfinals, and the 2021 Euro Cup, when they finished second to Italy after a draw in regulation time and defeat on penalties. We can also mention 2018, when England reached the World Cup semi-finals, with Kane finishing as top scorer with 6 goals, but fell to Croatia and then Belgium in the third-place match. Kane comes to another Euro Cup in 2024, in one of the favorite teams to win the competition. Who knows how to close the wound that has been opened since 2021? As team captain, Kane certainly carries a greater weight, leading veterans and young players in what is a possible golden generation for England. The last few years have seen a veritable collection of failures for the English, but perhaps the cycle can now finally be crowned with a major achievement. After an analysis of Harry Kane's career, it is undeniable that talent and numbers are factors that place him among the great players of today. However, it is clear that, even with the strength of numbers, Kane needs a title to consolidate his career and move away from the title wrestling brand once and for all. Remaining among football's elite and winning championships are essential for a player of his stature to be recognized as one of the greatest of all time. Kane's journey continues, and his quest for titles is an open story, waiting to be written with an ending worthy of his greatness in football. Hey guys who are coming to the channel. If you've made it this far, it means you're enjoying the video and it doesn't hurt to subscribe and leave a like. This makes my work a lot stronger. That's it, thank you.